In today's video, we are talking about HEX token. All right. Project that was founded by the self-proclaimed best human in all of crypto, Richard Hart, who kind of looks like he's trying to pass off as a rock star with the rings and the nice clothes and the haircut and the goatee. He sits in AMAs in what seems like a vampire's throne. Could he and his project be the key to your financial freedom? Let's not hold his appearance against him. Let's enter this with an open mind. Unfortunately, though, Richard just recently had his YouTube channel taken down by the mighty powers of YouTube and has asked for some help out there on Twitter trying to get him reinstated. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about HEX token. And is it the potential to go ahead and get you the financial freedom that you're chasing, break you free from that 9-to-5 job? Or alternatively, because we like to try and keep a balanced approach to these things, are you going to be putting yourself further behind when you look at the opportunity cost of your money? Now, if it's your first time here, my name's Ryan, No Autopilot YouTube channel. My goal here is to provide you the best due diligence on low cap cryptos in all of YouTube. This is not financial advice. In fact, this is likely hot garbage. Okay, look at me. I'm wearing a t-shirt. Okay, I'm streaming on YouTube at 12:30 in the afternoon. Don't take anything I say as financial advice. Please don't do it. If this content is helpful in any way, though, and you want to help out my channel, go ahead and slap that like button for me. That actually tells YouTube that stuff I'm putting out is half decent, and it really helps this content reach bigger and bigger audiences. So with all that said, let us go ahead and dive into HEX. So HEX allows you to go ahead and stake HEX tokens and earn an average of 38% returns every single year. And what they're doing here is they're trying to challenge the store of value that is Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin doesn't have smart contracts built off of it. That's not its core intention. It's more something that you buy and you hold. And due to the tokenomics and the free market, over time, it appreciates in value. And so HEX is trying to take that Bitcoin approach and bolt on a couple little additional pieces to it to make it a little spicier. So what they're claiming this is it's a blockchain version of a certificate of deposit. So a certificate of deposit is if you hung up on this live stream right now and you walk down to your bank, you gave them $1,000. The bank, in return for you giving them that money and allowing them to lend it out and make some money off of it, would guarantee you that in 1 year's time, they'll give you a percentage back on that original principal that you provided, that $1,000. And that's the interest for them to do that transaction. And so what HEX is attempting to do here is to go ahead and have that same exact kind of approach, but in the blockchain, where you have HEX tokens, you go ahead, you stake them within the HEX protocol, and by doing so, they're guaranteeing that at the end of the time period from when you've staked your tokens, you'll go ahead and you'll earn back interest on that initial deposit. Okay, everybody with me so far? Now, today, certificates of deposit at your local bank will go ahead and get you around 0.19%. And HEX is touting, as of this video on their website, about a 40%, which is quite lucrative, right? Bigger number must be good. So once you go ahead and you stake your tokens, every single day you receive a reward that you can claim, and those are in the form of T-shares. Now, the longer that you have your token staked, up to 15 years is one of the options, okay? It's a long frickin' time, up to 15 years. Then you go ahead, you earn these T-shares, and you're able to transact those for HEX tokens and then go ahead and sell them on the marketplace, okay? That's kind of how this thing works. Now, we like to play the game of what if, because me, just like you, trying to make some money, right? That's why we're all in this crypto thing. And if HEX went ahead and hit the fully diluted market cap of Bitcoin, that would show a 10x from its current price here today. Now, I have to initially mention that when I started to research this project, I was immediately put off by Richard Hart's total approach. Total approach. Not just the clothes, but being in a ton of AMAs, wearing bling, right? Having a very expensive looking background. Like, to me, as someone who has had money, that doesn't impress me. Rather, that makes me wonder why he's trying so hard to impress people. But I tried to set that aside and not judge based on appearances, because maybe it's just his style. Maybe he just has flair, and I shouldn't judge him for that flair. I will say that he has a ton of time jumping into AMAs and, in essence, having a tremendous ability to argue and debate. Probably one of the best folks I've seen in the crypto space with that skill set. So when we look at the token, what does the token actually do? So you're able to go ahead and stake it, as I mentioned, but outside of that, there is no additional utility to the HEX token. You can't participate in governance. It's not used in any sort of smart contract, anything along those lines. So really, the hope is that people buy the HEX tokens on the exchanges. They enter the HEX staking application. They stake it for a long period of time. And then new users coming across this thing who are also chasing that 40% yearly APR will go ahead and do the same thing. Okay. Now we look at the total supply of tokens. It's currently sitting at 633 billion. And one thing I don't like that much is that the information in regards to the max supply is a question mark. And based off the research I did going into this video, I couldn't really find a firm figure to kind of put down on there. And, I'm sure you guys have invested in scams. I've invested in scams. We've all lost money before. And the more transparency we have with these things, kind of like, the warmer and fuzzier I feel. Okay. So we mentioned how this thing goes ahead and it tries to attain a store of value approach, right? So if everyone is buying the HEX token and then they're staking it, that reduces the supply of the token out there in the marketplace, right? Because everyone's buying and they're staking. In addition to that, HEX has a capped 3.69% inflation, meaning every single year they print 3.69% more tokens and put it out in the marketplace. But with free market forces, right? So if people go in trying to buy or sell this thing, it can go ahead and it can rally up and the market can kind of determine what its price is. So we have that. Now, I also went ahead and I looked at the initial coin offering and I couldn't find anything on the HEX website about this. So I kind of had to go to a third party to go ahead and do that research. And I'll link this article in the description of this video when we go ahead and we post this thing. It was aggressively calling it a scam. It was aggressively calling HEX a scam. But setting that to the side, they go ahead and they share that how they went ahead and distributed the initial HEX tokens is Richard went ahead and did a snapshot of all Bitcoin holders by a certain point in time. And if those holders went ahead and submitted a claim on his website, they were airdropped this token. And that's how it was decentralized. Now we go ahead and we take a look at the social media presence. We want to try and see what is the community like, how is it going. Reddit shows 20,000 hexicans, which is what they call themselves, 38 which are online. And this thing does have a fair bit of posts every single day. They also have a Twitter account with around 70,000 followers. I like to look at Lunar Crush to kind of see, what the buzz is on some of these things. And from a social sentiment standpoint, this thing has been rallying pretty strong this year, right? So we could see kind of here on the left, a lot of folks are feeling a bullish sentiment, social engagement is way up, yada, yada, yada. Now, I also did see that they mentioned on the HEX website that they have had 2 audits, both of which you can go ahead and access through links. I pulled up one here from CoinFabric. I have never heard of CoinFabric before, but that doesn't mean anything, right? I don't typically have tokens audited, so what would I know? I will say, warning shot, if you're new to the channel and you haven't heard me say this before, these audits really don't mean jack, because oftentimes they are just evaluating the code to see if it's functioning as it should, and if its original function was to siphon off money and make the founders a bunch of cash, and it does that correctly, then it wouldn't have any red flags show up on the audit. In addition, some of these things are just ran automatically. They just kind of run a program and it analyzes it. There isn't like an actual human sitting down looking at the code, breaking it down. So going forward, if you see something claim that they've been audited, just know it really doesn't mean that much. Okay. Now, I also went ahead and I took a look on their website. It does look like Richard is in the process of attempting to hire some devs. He mentions $175,000 starting salary if you are a Solidity developer. And yeah, that's kind of it in the nutshell. Roadmap, kind of what to look forward to going forward. They are in the middle of creating a fork of Ethereum called Pulse X, okay, or excuse me, Pulse Chain. And this is kind of outside of the scope of this video, right? I could probably make a separate video about that if you guys are interested, but it sounds like the Solidity developers that they're hiring, some of the money that they're using is to go ahead and try and build a fork of Ethereum to, further get this thing off the ground and hopefully make some folks money. Now, where can you buy this thing? This is one of the big drawbacks with this token is it really isn't available on top tier exchanges, right? I think the best one on here that I've personally used is probably Bitmark, and that is concerning. I know there's a lot of information out. He's shared a lot of content in different AMAs about how exchanges, especially centralized exchanges, have requirements around liquidity tracking and how liquid a token is, how often it's moving and shaking and all that, as well as concerns about decentralization. How many of the tokens are decentralized across the user base? And is there a majority of those tokens held by the founder and the core team? And it sounds like they really haven't been able to check a lot of those boxes, which is why, even with all the money in the world, apparently, they are still only listed on these like third tier level exchanges. And it could mean that that is why, one of the reasons why, they're going ahead and they're kind of doing these additional spinoffs of Pulse Chain as well as Pulse X. So, food for thought there. Now, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to give you a bullish scenario as well as a bearish scenario, right? And as I mentioned earlier on, right, this is hot garbage, okay? This is hot garbage. Don't take everything I say as the truth. Take what I say, watch some other videos, do your own research, and the truth is probably like somewhere in the middle, right? So I think that this is 100% a scam. And the reason I say that is that the founder, when he went ahead and kind of created this project, he set it up so people are incentivized to buy and hold the token, right? That's kind of the whole thing. You buy it and you stake it, so you can't sell it. If you want to go ahead and try and sell it early, you're penalized, and you have kind of fees you have to pay on top of kind of getting those initial funds out. And the only way that this thing goes up in price is if more less educated folks who are kind of dumber, right, to crypto, go ahead and they see this thing and then they pile in to go ahead and kind of chase those 40% APRs. So I put this in the bullish reason because just because it's a scam doesn't mean you can't make money off of it. Doesn't mean you can't make money off of it, okay? I have no loyalty to any crypto projects. I have loyalty to my bank account. So if you would have seen this thing back in, January 2020, you got in, you could have had this nice little run up, right? Same thing. After the initial sell in May, when this thing began to dump, we had that kind of mini bump up in November. Dumb money continued to pile into this thing, regardless of the fact that it is likely a scam. So I think the takeaway there, the bullish scenario is you buy into this thing, you have a plan for why you're getting in and how you're getting out, what those values are going to be, and you stick to it. And even then, you could get wrecked, or you could wait a long time. Either way. We look at the bearish scenario. Okay, so flipping that over. So I think one of the biggest concerns about this thing for me is the founder. Okay, going back to my channel, not to kind of toot my own horn, but we're going to toot it. I review projects like a poor man's venture capitalist. Okay, I look at the founder a great deal because the founder can tell you pretty much everything you need to know about the project. Do they have grit? Do they have determination? Do they have honesty? Are they trustworthy? Have they created projects before that have raised a bunch of money? Have they been able to attract users before and do really well? In one thing that I heard in an AMA session in a venture capital panel that was held a couple years ago was never invest in a project where the founder puts himself at the very front of the project as like the one, the only, holy grail, biggest deal. And when I see, again, this entire website dedicated to his opulence, dedicated to his wealth, beating his chest about how many people he's helped, if he makes a charitable donation, making sure you know that he made a charitable donation, all that to me is a super red flag. I'm not down with that. In addition to that, there's a reason why central exchanges are avoiding this thing, right? There's a reason why they're not listing them. Even bad exchanges like Gate.io that kind of take anybody's money are still not listing it. And so there has to be some valid reasons to do that because they're in the business to make money. So this thing really must not check some boxes for them. Outside of that, they have a very viral user base, which is sometimes a good thing with crypto. But when you go and you buy in this thing, you're likely going to be pressured to go ahead and hold it and keep holding it forever. And then finally, it's all marketing. There's no real substance utility behind the token, and therefore, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? And then I think lastly, they go ahead and they mention this kind of in the paper here, but HEX's primary design is price appreciation. And curiously, if we look at this thing, when it was launched, this thing laid dead, dormant for years until COVID came around and it began to revive really all cryptocurrency projects. And only then did it begin to go ahead and have a couple run-ups, again, attributed to the overall inflow of investment into crypto. So if this thing's original intention was to appreciate in price, but then it had, 2 years of pretty much trading flat, I think that's pretty indicative that it did not achieve what it intended to. And rather, there's a whole bunch of folks who are bought in, who are holding, and are likely stuck. So there you have it. HEX token. Am I buying it? HE double hockey sticks? Hell no. I would not touch this thing at all. I think my money from an opportunity cost standpoint could do a heck of a lot better, right? Even if I find a legitimate project that gets me a 10x, my risk is greatly reduced, and I have the potential for even greater returns if it does go ahead and pump, while not having to worry about all my funds going down the drain. So for HEX token, I am out. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Anything I missed? Anything you add? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Would you like me to go ahead and do a updated video on Pulse Chain as well as Pulse X? Let me know in the comment section, and if there's enough folks who are interested in that, we can likely get that done.